Welcome to Life with Joey Calvo Podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Please continue to help support the victims of the Texas floods and the California wildfires. They do need our support as they are rebuilding. Today I have the truly beautiful, very beautiful Alisha Kapani. And Alisha, give me one moment here. I have to get to my little cheat sheet. Struggled with severe depression, suicidal thoughts, and anxiety for years. She was trying everything to heal and spending thousands of different healing modalities, and nothing was working until she softened up around her desperation and healing, and started surrendering, and finally healed and opened up to the resources needed that were always there for her. So, Alisha, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And so explain what led you tell us about Alisha. Who is Alisha?
Yeah. Who's Alisha? That's a deep question. Well, I'm a mind-body mentor. So that pretty much means I help people heal the root cause of their illness by expanding their consciousness. And it's a really long story on how I got to this point, because I actually used to be a chemical engineer. So it's like a big shift for me, but life just had more in store for me. I clearly wasn't living my purpose at the time, so I needed a wake-up call. And depression was that wake-up call. Like, having and healing from depression changed the trajectory of my entire life. Every part of my life, nothing is the same. I'm not the same person. And yeah, like exactly what you said in your intro. Like I had depression for like 5 years and suicidal thoughts, and was trying everything to heal, spending thousands of dollars every month trying a bunch of different modalities. Like first I obviously tried conventional Western medicine, medication, seeing a psychiatrist, all those types of things. And it didn't bring me any relief. And so then I started trying unconventional things. I was trying acupuncture, hypnosis, like all these different types of things, and still wasn't seeing relief. And it wasn't until I found Mindbody Medicine, which is all about like your body already knows what it needs. And if you're listening to your body's wisdom, and if you're shifting your consciousness so you're not in the same consciousness where the problem got created, then the problem goes away. And once I started learning that, I healed right away. And then I just became really passionate about learning about this to see what else I could heal about myself. And so I've healed from lots of other things. Anxiety. I had acid reflux I had to take medication for every day that I don't need anymore. I had eye floaters, like I couldn't see out of the left side of both my eyes. Healed that, like so many different things. And so yeah, now I help other people also heal the root cause of their illness. And yeah, it could be mental or physical. It doesn't really matter, because even if it's physical, it's still mental, essentially.
Okay. All right. So how? Let's go into the how. How did you get? What? Talk a little bit more about the mind body. That healing process that you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how it works essentially is your thoughts and your emotions are affecting your health, and they're actually affecting your entire reality. I don't know if you've studied quantum physics, but essentially what it's saying is that your consciousness is creating your entire reality. So it's kind of just one big illusion that you're creating. So everything you see is just a reflection of you. And so that includes any sort of illness that you manifest. It's there to show you the exact beliefs and emotions you're carrying that created the illness. And it's only happening to show you like these thoughts and beliefs are not serving you. They're not aligned with your natural state. And it's like your body is like on your side trying to get you to be free. Like everyone I know that's actually healed the root cause of their illness is not the same person after. Like you're in a completely different state of consciousness. You can't do life the way that you used to, where you were maybe abandoning yourself, not listening to your body, not honoring yourself. It's just not possible to go back to that because you're in like a completely different state.
Okay. All right. So, All right. So I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression in 2009, and I was kind of picked on when I was a kid in school, and it took a little bit for me to realize things. I like had very low self-esteem, sometimes still do. Not as much as I do now, but in reference to back then. I also was one of those people that would just wanted to be accepted, just wanted to feel accepted, and kind of didn't, and to the point where I literally pushed people away.
Yeah.
Literally just like okay, yeah, you think you're my friend, yada yada yada, like, or like, you're very busy right now. Let me just get out of the way and not bother you anymore, and just and in reference to a suicidal thought, I did have one actually back in 2011, 12. Because I had lost this place right nearby where I'm living now, because I was my focus wind up getting diverted in another way, to the point where it wasn't paying the rent. I had, the money was there, but it was being diverted to other things. And so one day I was walking over the South Street Bridge, and I was looking at the school, and I was like, you know what? I'm done, because, I screwed, I was totally screwed up. Everything's not going right. I'm being used. And so a voice in the back of my head actually said to me that if I had disappeared, this person would have been worried. And it stopped me right there. And ever since then, I did have another thought recently, but it wasn't because of being loved. It was just because I was alone, and of course, I'm by the beach in reference to that, that thing. So, what is the best way? Now, I'm actually had started a journey recently, a new journey. And I went through psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff. And a psychiatrist actually told me that this podcast was my actual therapy. And I took one look at him, and I was like, what? He's like, yeah, your podcasts are like your therapy, And I was like, I wasn't believing it, and so on. But as time went on, I'm like, you know what? He's right. I'm actually picking up some things. Well, recently I started a whole new journey with myself, I'm supposed to be using the word attempt. There we go. Try is supposed to be out of my vocabulary, but it flips. I have been attempting to be better, and I've started to realize, the betterness of myself. And first thing I did was I took a spiritual journey. So, the first thing I did was I actually went to church for the first time in 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to church, I started to feel healed because just being in the church and listening to the choir practice and just even standing in the church itself was like a whole different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what I do is after church is over, there's a park because living in Philadelphia, there's this fancy, I call it fancy, amazing place. So if you're ever in Philadelphia, there's a place called Rittenhouse Square. It's got a fountain in the middle and all these benches. And I just go in there and I just sit there and I just like devour, the scenery and, seeing what it, enjoying what's there.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that really a good direction in reference to healing that I should look more advantage to?
So what I will say is, so lately I've been learning about what's called theta healing, which is connecting with what you could call creator, you could call it God, you could call it creation energy, universal source consciousness, like essentially where you believe everything was created from is the energy you're connecting with.
Mm-hmm.
And from studying theta healing, I realized that a lot of the times when people are connecting with what they think is God, sometimes it isn't God and it isn't what's called the seventh plane of existence. So it really depends, because sometimes like entities can come in and pretend to be God. And sometimes for a lot of people, their religion is actually creating shame.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually the reason that they have some sort of illness. So it really depends on your beliefs around this. Like connecting with what I would call creation energy is the most healing thing you can possibly do. So if you're doing that, then it can be extremely healing.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on like the church that you're in and how it feels when you go there. Yeah, but honestly, if you're not welcoming your emotions, then you're not truly getting to the root cause. So you could go there and you could feel, maybe like temporarily uplifted, but you haven't actually shifted your consciousness. So I wouldn't say like don't do something that's adding lightness to your life, but I would say you still need to be going to the root and welcoming what you're feeling.
Right. So yeah, the other thing is being, that I'm unemployed right now. So that's been more of the depression recently. And like I said, these podcasts are the only thing that's been keeping me busy. And so and I attempt to get away from the house because it's like if maybe this could be the root that we're talking about. Like just being in the house alone is just like depressing, and being, like I said, being that I'm unemployed and everything. Usually during the day, I'm usually doing other things, or like, like last week, I wind up going to the hospital because I actually wasn't feeling the greatest, and to find out my kidneys were actually dehydrated, and thank God, that I managed to be here today, because the doctors literally said you took a hit, in reference to it. So I mean, I was like, wow, like, yeah, I realized that, but that's because of I didn't have a lot of food around the house and so on. So it was like it was like I was being punished somehow in reference.
Yes.
So
yeah, what I'm sensing is, and this is like really important, is a lot of people only try the masculine approach to healing and they don't do the feminine approach. And you need both, but more importantly, you need to do the feminine before the masculine.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, like an example is if this room was filling up with water, masculine approach to solving this problem is, okay, where is the water coming from? What's the source? Let me go turn off the tap. It's like bigger picture awareness and like taking physical action to stop the problem, right? The feminine approach is you open the doors and windows and you let the water out.
Right.
And so if all you did was the masculine approach and you like found where the source was coming from and you turned the source off, you're still in a room filled with water.
Right.
You still are in the problem. You have not really changed the problem. So taking physical action is never enough if you're not changing your inner state and feeling and welcoming your emotions and dissolving them and getting them out of the body. Everything you do will be temporary relief and just moving the parts around because you're still in the same consciousness as the problem. So that's why the most important thing you can do is actually feel what you're feeling when you're at your house and you're saying you feel depressed and you feel lonely. You might think, oh, I should just get out of the house because it's lonely in here. But you need to go into the depths of the despair and really welcome it with compassion because your body already knows how to transmute the energy. And that's going to make the biggest difference. And then to expand the lightness, you might be like, now I can go for a walk. But if you're going for a walk in order to not feel what you're feeling, you're guaranteeing you stay in the same consciousness and that you don't heal.
Okay. Yeah. I am realizing being lonely a lot, is part of it. And like you said, I've only went to the like when you mentioned about the room being filled with water, all I did was went to the tap and shut the tap off and didn't open up the windows to let the water out. So how is the best way to think to see what the feminine side, because maybe I may not know what the feminine side of the situation could be. So how can I tap into that?
So feminine energy means sensing, feeling, receiving, expressing as well. Okay. So you have to do one or all of these four things. You have to sense and feel what you're feeling. You need to express it in some way. That doesn't necessarily have to be to another person. As long as like you're not denying to yourself how shitty this feels. Like it needs to be expressed, even if it's just to yourself. And receiving is a feminine energy too. So that means like you're not rejecting anything. You're going to receive this experience. And that's also going to just have you be a better receiver in general. If someone were to offer you something in insight, awareness, support, receiving is a feminine energy. The one that's actually doing the giving, that's actually the masculine energy. So that is the feminine approach.
Okay. Yeah, because mine is like, it's more of like the relationships and stuff. That's the loneliness, not having that relationship with the, in my case, female, not having a female relationship, because all the relationships I had, they wound up cheating on me. And, all I ever wanted to do was really just be there for the person, support them, and, be that person, say, hey, I'm here for you, let me be that cheerleader that you need to get through. And instead of being the cheerleader, I wind up being the person that got like tossed out the door, literally. and didn't even know, in a way, um, you attempt to figure out why this is happening, but yet at the same time, you're like, no, they're not cheating on me. Everything's okay. Thinking I've got it band-aided, but it really wasn't. So, and that's what takes the most out of me, is missing that physical relationship. And I even say that now about friends. I'm like, in reference to friends, I'm like, if you're my friend, and you really want to be a part of my life, then you need to be there for me when I need someone. And at least physically hang out with me. Because if you're not hanging out with me, then you're telling me, like, yeah, I'm a friend, but from a distance. Well, I don't need the distance,
Yeah.
I don't. If you're a friend, be a friend and say, hey, listen, we're doing this. Come join us,
Yeah. So the thing is, people can't help but treat you the way that you subconsciously believe you deserve to be treated. So they will always reflect that back. So it means that you're carrying shame, and like there's a part of you that feels like unworthy of receiving this. And so people literally cannot help but treat you that way. So that's like what's happening and what's manifesting here. So it has to start with you. So I know you're really wanting connection from other people, but it has to come from you being connected with yourself.
Yeah.
And every time you distract from your emotions, you are not connecting with yourself, and you're not giving yourself self-love. So then you won't see it in return in your external reality from other people. So it has to start with you.
Yeah. And that I've been working on. Like you said, that's been the journey. And like you said, it's like when I'm out of the house now, I'm totally like, okay, you got this. You can enjoy what's out there. But it's like as soon as I walk in this house, it's like, okay, you're okay. You can manage this. Don't think about what you're missing. But like when it comes to bedtime, you're like, you're laying down and you just miss like so much stuff. You miss that, miss laying down with someone and telling them, how much you love them, and and holding them tight. And we lost her. Uh-oh. I think we made her uncomfortable. Uh-oh. Let's all right. As we're getting back together, give me one moment. I do apologize, folks. There were some issues on Alisha's part in reference to the why she's not on here. It wasn't because of me. So hopefully we can get her back on. I'm attempting right now to get her back. So we have some great podcasts coming up. This week and next week. And in reference to tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll have Jaleesa Hardy. And then next week, we have Gabriel Iglogby, and he wrote a book on dating in Nigeria. And then we have AJ Robinson. We have Brian Sakata. And then next Friday is going to be a very, very early podcast. And I mean, very, very early. We're going to have Milan Schwarzkopf on as well. So, stay tuned. And hopefully we will have some more great podcasts coming up for you to enjoy. Also, in the meantime, please help support this podcast in any way you can. And so on the bottom of the ticker, on the bottom of the ticker, there is a GoFundMe page. Please click on that and please help support the podcast in every possible way. Please help support those commercials that are running. I'm running 5,000 times a moment because every little bit helps me right now as I'm job hunting and improving this podcast and taking this podcast to new lengths. I want to be able to take it to a new length in reference to this. So that way we can have better podcasts, and even to the point where it's out on you'll be able to not only see it on YouTube, but seeing it on Roku TV, or even hearing it in the radio in Seattle and in Seattle or Los Angeles or Atlanta or Chicago. Please do all you can to help out this podcast in every possible way. We also have great, if you read the ticker at the bottom, great people help support as well as myself. If you love Wonder Woman, check out American Fox. If you love smooth jazz like I do, check out Eric Essex. Great CD. It came out. Most of that album is in my Spotify. And so hopefully, we're trying one more time to see if we can get Alisha back. If not, then we know this internet. Thank you, T-Mobile. All right, so what we're doing, Alisha has got back to me her internet is not the greatest right now, and actually neither is this one. So what we're going to do, hopefully, is we're going to reschedule this one. And so we're going to end this podcast for now. And thank you, everybody, for watching the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. Hopefully, we will have this rescheduled soon. So, God bless you all.